Hi everyone, I'm Sabina Persson from Castellans, and you're so very welcome to the videocast 6 minutes. It's 6 questions, 6 minutes, and it's all about customer experience. So, this is a series of episodes where we bring you actionable insights, practical know how, and personal stories from top professionals, all in just about 6 minutes. So, and joining, yeah, and joining me today is Aileen Day from Aileen Day Advisory. Welcome so much to you, Aileen. How are you?
Hello, thank you so much for having me. I'm so thrilled to be on here with you.
It's good to have you. Now, we're going to talk about customer experience challenges and lessons. And actually,
Yes.
as always, my first question is, who are you and what do you do?
Who am I and what do I do? I am Aileen Day. I am a customer experience advisor and nearly a bona fide author
Ooh.
with a book coming out on customer, employee, and human experience
Yes.
this International CX Day. And hilariously, most people don't know when that is. So this year in 2025, it will be the 7th of October.
October, right. Yep, yep. Got that. Well, so nice to have you here.
Thank
I'm going
you.
to jump into the next question. So, in your opinion, what is the biggest mistake that companies make when it comes to their customer experience?
I think if companies are actually aware of what customer experience entails in its entirety, because if we really, really do back it up, a lot of the mistakes come in the fact that we think customer experience is our marketing or our
Oh, yeah.
uh, methods to how we service our customers or even our customer support, phone teams and whatnot.
Mm,
And when we really kind of actually understand that it's a lot more than that,
yeah.
I would say the next mistake we might make, not might make, consistently make, is
Hmm.
that we try to implement a one size fits all
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
there's a real testament to evolving that understanding and finally working out how to start personalizing those experiences without, breaking the bank.
Yeah, that's $1 million question though, isn't it? Without breaking the bank. How do you do it within the budget?
Exactly.
What should
But,
we prioritize?
the old adage, you've got to spend money to make money. So,
Yeah.
and if you spend money on the right things,
Mm,
then you certainly, the evidence is there and shows that when you are personalizing experiences consistently and reliably,
mm,
you're making the money
mm.
much, much more effectively and efficiently than the people next door to you are.
Yeah. Great. How do you handle customer feedback in your work?
Pragmatically, I should have also mentioned in question one, I'm also a clinical psychotherapist.
Yes, you are.
So
Which is also such an exciting mix here.
it's a real combination of, yeah, it's a real hot pot of skills.
Mm,
And I think with that, it has taught me to put a mirror up to myself first and foremost, and really pragmatically ask myself the questions: what did I do
mm,
to create that environment or to create that perception? And then I have to kind of reflect on how much do I care? You know,
mm.
for example, I'm consistently told that I swear. My swearing is off-putting by some people, and I think if I then ask people, "Do you love Gary Vee?" and they're like, "Yes." I'm like, then what's the difference? There's
Yes,
no difference, right?
good for
So
you.
then I have to kind of allocate whether I'm going to put a lot of care factor into that or just thank them for their opinion. And, like buttholes, everybody has one,
Yeah.
and move on. Or do I have to make some changes? And if I do have to make some changes, I really kind of do, as I said, put the mirror up to myself and figure out what I can do over a period of time that's going to make sure that I mitigate impacting anyone negatively in the future.
Mm,
And I try to teach that to my clients and my therapy clients and to my business clients as well. That, when people say you can't take it personally, I think you absolutely should. You
Yeah.
should take it personally.
Mm.
This is your brand, your personal brand, your business brand,
Yeah.
and something went wrong.
Yeah.
Or hopefully, maybe something went right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Not all feedback's doom and gloom.
No, no, exactly. And I think also what you're saying, I mean, it's always sort of two sides to it as well, and both
Hmm,
needs to work.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I think it's fair and to say, not everybody's feedback matters
Mm.
equally,
Yeah.
right? It's one thing to take it, and I always say as a therapist,
Mm.
if you wouldn't go to that person for mentoring or for their advice, then maybe they shouldn't hold as much weight
Yeah.
in their feedback of you or what you do.
Mm. Great. Thank you. Um, Number four, what is the common customer experience challenge you face and how do you address it?
Common customer experience challenge, I think, is the setting up of expectations and having business owners understand that customers come to them with such a predetermination of expectations. For example, building a house.
Yeah.
We had a client where they predominantly serviced first homeowners to Australia, new immigrants to Australia. So people who just immigrated from other countries, a lot of them, English was their second language or did not speak English
Oh.
at all, really. And their big problem for them, I should say, was their contract stage. And they kept getting people pulling out of contracts. And when I went and dug in, it was because the customer couldn't understand the overwhelm of talk
Oh.
and words and documents. And
Mm.
when I suggested to them, look, I think you have to realize these people have come in with their families telling them what to expect, with
Mm.
their friends telling them what to expect. They
Mm.
come in, they don't understand what's going on. Perhaps you could invest in a translator.
Mm.
And that was, this way of breaking down those expectations
Mm.
to have them be met
Mm.
appropriately
Got it.
and to have the customer feel like they mattered
Mm.
and that they could get through this part of the block
Mm.
that was being created through no fault of the customer, but through a lack of understanding from the business.
Mm. Mm.
Just because we don't really understand or consider the expectations that customers externally bring into their experience with us.
Mm. Mm. That's a really good one. And I mean, we're also part of creating those expectations as well as businesses and organizations, of course, but
Mm,
those are the ones that you're talking about might not always be the ones that we can foresee either.
exactly. And I think, sometimes you have to maybe land a little bit in the mud to
Mm.
have realized, oh, hang on,
Yeah.
there's a real opportunity here. But hopefully, after you've found out what the solution is, you take it on board and see a really remarkable change,
Mm.
which you
Yeah,
would
that's
if you did that.
wonderful. Huh. Great. And so how should we balance customer needs with business priorities? That's a question that a lot of us have always in the back of our minds.
It it is one of the foregoing and ongoing
Mm.
challenges in business forever. I
Yeah.
remember, I would constantly have a realm of business requirements that I needed to take care of,
Mm.
and, multi-million dollar component of the business that I was responsible for, which meant a multitude of humans that I needed to care about and be on top of. And so it got to this point where I was really kind of getting to a level of burnout because
Oh,
I was trying to do it
yeah.
all and I wasn't doing any of it well.
Mm. Yeah.
And ultimately, my advice these days is be transparent,
Mm.
be candid. And what I mean about being transparent and candid is having those conversations with your team to say, this is the time that I need to take care of XYZ. And the impact that that's going to have on your employee experience is ABC.
Mm.
And if you want to be a part of that, all hands on deck. Great.
Yeah.
But if you don't, then I need you to give me this space, and my door is open, but you know, it's a little bit like being mum. Unless someone's dying,
Yes.
don't just give me this space, right?
Yeah.
But the team started to really gravitate to this point where if I wasn't where I said I would be at a certain time, they would check me and they would say, "Hey, you need to get to doing our rosters." Or so I would say ultimately boundaries, clarity, and explaining to the people around you why it's important to do what you need to do for the business and how it directly impacts their positive experience. And if you can't be transparent, then I'm also going to ask the question, why are you there? Like, if you have to shut the door and do things, you know, behind closed doors, or you can't be upfront and honest with your customers, or you can't be upfront and honest with your team about what's going on and what you need to do to be able to successfully run that business, then you've got bad boundaries. You probably have a culture that could do with some tender loving care, and your customer and employee experience is likely to suffer because of it.
Yeah. So boundaries, clarity. I like the clarity thing because I think that's something that I mean, when you say it sounds so natural, but I think isn't that part of what's quite difficult to actually do?
I think some people feel guilty that they have these dual roles, and they kind of feel like, oh, I'll do this bit, I'll do some admin, but if they need me, I'll jump to attention. And that's great, right? You obviously want to be the type of business leader or entrepreneur that is attentive to the needs of your customers, needs of your team. But if it becomes to the detriment of your business, and this is why people talk about working in your business versus working on it. If you never get the chance to work on your business because you're too busy jumping in, being, you know, the fifth wheel on a on a job, then it won't be long until you've burnt out and your business is also probably struggling because of it. And the other thing is clarity and candidness helps your team to know where they stand. And humans actually love to know where they stand. They might feel initially it's a little bit abrupt. But once they start to realize, hang on, there's no sugarcoating here. There's no tricks. There's no hiding behind bushes. I just know it actually reduces the stress levels in your customers. It reduces the cortisol in your team. It creates a completely different culture. Because everybody starts to just know where they stand. They know where they're meant to be. They know why they're meant to be doing what they're doing. I'm an avid fan for a candid communication style in business. And I think that's one of the best ways that you can ultimately balance as best you can between your customer needs and your business needs.
Yes. Thank you. Now, final question. This goes fast, right? So
quick.
What is one?
It's like my 7 years of dating life. Just you're in, they're out.
Oh, what is one piece of advice that you would, share on this topic if you only had one?
I think, let's talk about what you guys do, for example. Customer journey mapping, one of the most prominent tools when it comes to understanding your customer experience and your employee experience. And ultimately, as we're talking about the human experience. And customer journey mapping is one of those activities where every single time I do it, one of my favorite parts is stepping back and having the group gasp. Gasp in overwhelm and those real like, oh my God moments, like what Frankenstein have we created? And if they can't understand it, and if they can't, wrap their heads around it, as I say to them, what hope has anyone else got?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
so for me, the one piece of advice I would say is
Mm,
you broke ground, get past the overwhelm, take a deep breath,
mm,
and do something with that insight.
mm,
Do something beyond just breaking ground on a customer journey map.
mm.
They're great to do. They're amazing fun. They can be very, insightful and tell you a few truths you might not have been ready to face.
Yeah.
You might need a therapist when you're done.
Then we know who to call as well.
Feel free to call me. We
Yeah.
can do the whole journey together, but do something with it afterwards. The amount of people I speak to and they're like, we've done a journey, Matt. I'm like,
Yes.
and then what? What did you do after that?
Mm,
Oh, I'd have to dig them out. I'm like, no, no. There's such an amazing investment
mm,
in improving everything from the way you serve to the investments you make to the branding you put out there to your vision to your values they just to the absolute success of your business,
mm,
taking it from transactional and making it transformational
mm,
is
mm,
the opportunity you have if you actually do something beyond just your journey mapping
mm.
activity.
Yes. Oh, what a beautiful ending.
Thank you.
Thank you. I mean, Aileen, huge thanks for all the good advice. That was some powerful insights you served. Really
Thank
appreciate
you.
it. Yes, really
My
appreciate it.
absolute
Honestly,
pleasure.
thank you so much. And guys, this is that's all for this time. And thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.